Hey everyone, Sari here, and welcome back to another week of late season offense matches. This week ended up being a bit of a theme team showcase, featuring Morgan and Robin teaming up to sweep the entire week's matches. While I normally use Morgan as a standalone carry, having a bonus week near-save bodyguard gives him a chance to specialize a bit. Attack speed unity is the only real difference from Morgan's usual kit, giving him a nice boost to his offense stats. Note as a very reliable source of attack and speed debuffs, making it a really consistent skill in light weeks. The rest of his skills are the same as usual. His weapon's Spectrum Legion effect is extremely powerful when combined with the right supports, allowing him to cripple his opponent's stats. Null Follow-up turns every fight into a regular speed check that Morgan should have no problems winning, and Panic Smoke's a great way to double down on his weapon's effect against any teams that use visible buffs. Robin, meanwhile, is a very solid near-save bodyguard. His bonus week stats make him very hard to bring down, even with a bit of an awkward defense flaw. Adding Bonfire and Steady Breath to his base kit lets him wipe out most opponents with a single counterattack, all while his weapon lets him sustain himself through multiple combats. The mythics, as usual, are tailored for support. Heirs to Mari and Milla's Sabotage Res are a great way to enable Morgan's weapon for him, and are also a great benefit for Robin this week. Disarm Trap really helps open up some maps, and Isolation and Dense support are always helpful. Peony and Milla also provide a variety of combat buffs that really help tip the numbers in our favor, and Dogger continues to provide a useful spectrum of buffs with a dash of extra mobility options. Now that we've gone over the team, let's get to the first match. This match will be a fun way to start the week off, and a great way for Robin and Morgan to kick off their Aether Raids vacation. They've got a pretty solid front line here, with a Brave Hector holding one corner and a Note holding the other, along with a bonus week Hel and Triandra to help round out their triple mythic crew. This Aegis with Quickened Pulse to help charge it for Hel is an interesting idea, especially with Guard Bearing, since it can cut all of the ranged damage she takes in half and make her a lot harder to snipe with a mage. They also have a very impressive plus 10 Norn over here. It's been a while since I've seen a Spendthrift Norn, but I do think she's still very solid. They even have Blue Flame on her for arena scoring. And she can do a solid chunk of damage with that too if she gets to attack twice, which isn't too hard with the lull and the time spells helping to speed it up. And rounding the entire thing out, they have Micaiah with Triangle Adept for their second Dancer. I don't think I'm going to really have problems with this. It should be pretty straightforward for Robin and Morgan to clean this out. I'm just going to wait one turn to start this off, since we do want to get the full spectrum of buffs out of Dogger before we get things going.
What's the plan?
Morgan's going to be able to open this up for Robin for next turn, and then we can use Pathfinder twice to have Morgan get danced, then flip Peony out of the way, and just have Morgan move down there, so Dogger can move over here and buff both of them for next turn.
It will be done.
Then Milla moves over, and we wait. They don't have a first turn 1 engagement, and the safety fence would disable that if they had one anyway, since we're out of their range. And from here, we're going to smite Morgan forward, move him all the way up here, and not bother attacking Lysithea. We could, but it'll be more fun to tank her. No, this wasn't even a real trap.
Yes.
Then we're going to flip Dogger forward, let Peony dance her,
Right, boss.
and then smite Robin forward to keep Robin safe, or keep Morgan safe from the melee. And we can pick up this Aether pot before we let the enemy turn get going,
my blessing.
and move Mill into position to complete our full spectrum of buffs. Lysithea should attack first here. She can do a decent chunk of damage to Morgan with the Glimmer.
Stay far away from me.
But she's also not surviving this counterattack, and she's the only one who really threatens him at all on their team. Nope moves in next, and, well, since she's attacking after Lysithea, her buffs are panicked.
I will rend you asunder!
And she really isn't having a good time with Robin, even with a full 40% damage reduction. Hell isn't going to do very well here either.
Surprise, your dinner.
While she can survive the first counterattack, she gets one-shotted twice,
Struggle if you must.
which means that she gets absolutely wrecked by the second hit. And well, Hector's not going to accomplish much here either.
Struggle if you must.
And from here, we just get to start healing Morgan back towards full health. Makai attacks first, since I think she actually heals him the least.
You won't win like that.
Even though Norn should actually be able to do a little bit of damage here. Nope, just one. Also, very clean enemy phase. And from here, it's easy for Robin to walk up and snag the second pot
What's the plan?
before Morgan steps forward and closes out the match.
Amateur.
That was a fun start. Let's see what we get next. This match is a fun little setup, including some units that I haven't seen too much of lately, including a +10 Resplendent Nino. She's honestly still a very solid unit. She's the OG budget mage too, and I think she holds up pretty well today as long as you can make her work properly. And having her as a dance trap with Azura, who can buff her for +6 to every stat, while she also clears all of her own debuffs, is a really good way to do it. She can also get danced by the Sigurd thanks to Note's Pathfinder, so isolating one or the other of Azura or Sigurd doesn't really stop this from going off. And especially if she's danced by Azura for the extra attack range, she can definitely catch people off guard. Backing this up with a double Poison Strike Fire Sweep Lyn is a little bit rude. And of course a +10 Reinhardt on the side is always a spooky threat to deal with. Not having lulls on either Sigurd or Reinhardt definitely doesn't help their ability to survive or secure knockout, though. Even if Wings of Mercy does offer them a nice bit of extra mobility. And of course they've got Hell, Bonus Week Hell, as their second mythic. I don't think I'm going to have too many problems with this. We should be able to handle this without overexerting ourselves.
What's the
I
plan?
am going to take one turn though.
Like this.
We can use a safety
Got
fence
'em.
here just to defuse this Reinhardt's initial engagement.
Yes.
While we have air start breaking things on the side,
Good morning.
let Peony move over here.
Sweet really could be worse.
And with their turn one disabled,
Right,
we can
boss.
just smite Morgan. Then we're going to
Maybe
do a
this
bit of
way.
a convoluted dance. I'm going to
I
start
bestow my
by
blessing.
flipping Robin over to the left,
If you
moving
say
Dogger
so.
over to the left, then
Present my
swapping
prey.
Peony this way
Hmm.
to make sure that we give Morgan a full set of combat buffs to tank all of their ranged units with. He should actually be able to tank Nino here too, since we aren't isolating Azura.
The glimmer of life.
And now we get to watch the fireworks. Yep, there's the dance on Nino, who should move first since she can do a little bit of damage to Morgan. And Morgan doesn't get to heal this damage, so it sticks and, I think, turns off Secret's weapon here. which is helpful since it means we don't have to worry about any damage reduction
Just as
for
I
this turn.
planned.
And then Reinhardt moves in and does absolutely no damage at all.
Oh.
Note and Hell and Lyn move up, and that's the end of the turn. At this point, we just want to make sure that we get to these Aether pots before the end of the match, and picking the right target to leave alive while we do it is important. So what we're going to do is just smite Morgan forward onto this trap. It's not real. And we're just going to let Milla move over one space to bait Azura for next turn.
Could be worse.
Robin can swap Dogger,
Ready.
then we'll dance him forward to protect Morgan,
Sweet release.
What's the
while
plan?
Morgan takes Lyn off the table and prevents her from causing trouble.
Amateur.
This also helpfully panics Note for the next turn, and means that Robin gets to take care of both of their melee while we just leave Azura alive to handle next
Death's
turn.
caress.
Milla's not going to have any issues tanking Azura. And, well, Robin is going to have a very easy time with Note and Hell.
Your candy. Now.
And down goes Hell, although it'll take a couple of hits here.
Surprise. Your dinner.
It's kind of funny to see her not double him, though. And from here we should be able to just trap Azura. Whether or not this is a real trap doesn't matter too much, since well, Azura's not going to be
Like
able to go
this.
anywhere.
The glimmer of
We can
life.
have air break this tactic room
Got him.
before we start moving around to close out the match.
Could be worse.
Good morning. Right, boss.
I bestow my
Here
blessing.
we should actually be able to close this match out with
If
a
you say
bit of
so.
maneuvering. Partly since we did find the real bolt
Okay.
trap last turn, which lets Morgan move up here to open up the panic manor,
Yes.
which lets her reach this Aether pot.
Present my prey.
Robin can pick up the second one,
Maybe
we'll dance Morgan.
this way.
and let him close out the match. Even trying flat up doesn't really saving Azura at that point. This match is going to be another fun one. I haven't actually run into a Nyx on defense yet, but this one's also using Mirror Impact, which makes her a very effective anti-mage, or anti-most things with the null follow-up combined and the 40% damage reduction from her weapon. She does still need to meet the speed check though, and while 51 speed is pretty high, it's not something that Morgan should have too many problems with. Which is fun to say, considering they're also backing her up with a legendary Claude, who's in season, a legendary Alm, who's also in season, and a legendary Crom, also in season. Dimitri isn't something that Morgan's going to deal with, that should go to Robin instead, which is going to be fun to see in its own way. And, well, Triandra and Note in the corner as the mythics are pretty standard. I don't think this setup really does them too many favors. The 7th unit Crom can never actually be danced by Triandra unless a Wings of Mercy miraculously lands with Nyx or Claude, which makes them a little easy to approach and dismantle, however you decide to choose to do it. I'm going to take one turn to set up just to get our wave skills online and also break through this wall of structures in the front.
Good morning.
And I should be able
Like
to
this.
Yes.
mostly clear things
What's the
out
plan?
while we get ready to start the fight. Nothing happens first turn because we're all out of range. And then Milla's going to
bestow my
open up this
blessing.
calf school.
The
We'll
glimmer
flip
of
Robin
life.
forward,
Could be worse.
have him break this bolt tower,
Got him.
smite Morgan forward,
Ready.
have Peony dance Robin, and then we're going to move Robin over to the
Sweet
left
release.
one space, which is actually safe from Chrom since Chrom can't actually get danced or move this turn.
Okay.
And then we're just going to move Morgan here and not attack into Nyx, so that Chrom actually stays inactive. This also lets Morgan tank the Menace from Note and gives him more than enough attack and speed to handle everything in this enemy phase. Nyx goes down pretty easily, and her weapon doesn't really accomplish much since she doesn't get to attack a second time. Alm can
Checkmate.
do true damage with his weapon, but that just heals Morgan back to full health anyway. Claude also gets outsped, and while we don't get to heal, he only does 1 point of damage anyway. Dimitri moves in next, and while Atrocity does let him do damage, Robin's going to heal all of that right back anyway.
I will rend you asunder.
And then Triandra should close things out by healing Morgan back to full health as well.
Amateur.
It's a nice clean second turn. And from here we just want to pick up the second Aether pot while closing out the match. And we should be able to do that
Okay.
pretty easily just by having Morgan step forward and pick it up,
Present
then
my
move
prey.
Robin in to protect him from Note.
Maybe this way.
And then we'll just end turn and watch the fireworks. Chrom can do a pretty solid chunk of damage when he's neutralizing penalties, but it's not going to be enough when he's the only one left who can attack Morgan. And, well, Note isn't getting anything done here.
Surprise, your dinner.
That was nice and clean. Let's see what we get next. This match is a fun little throwback to the days of Azura being the terror of the meta. I haven't seen a double Azura defense team in a very long time now, and using them without weapons can definitely help avoid having them get baited out, and they're backing them up with some pretty heavy hitters, including a Layla on defense, which is another pretty rare sight. This Brave Bow, Bolt Fighter, Deathblow Fae with armored boots. Armor March doesn't really do anything for her on this team, but the boots help her navigate. They've also got a +10 Eliwood. Lunge is a great way to just help pull people into range, and when you pair him with this +10 Annette, he can reach targets you might not expect him to once he starts moving 4 spaces in a turn. It's a neat setup. Not having mythics really cuts down the threat of the team overall though, and well, overall I'm not really expecting to have problems with it. It should be a pretty straightforward match. We're going to take a
Yes.
turn just to test a trap. Oh, that's the real one. Good.
Ready.
Then we can dance air,
If you say
move
so.
Dogger up here,
Sweet
which lets
release.
Robin move forward and break this fountain.
Death's caress.
Air is going to move down and break this wall.
What's the plan?
That lets Morgan move up here and get ready for the next
Like
turn.
this.
And we'll also have Mila just move over to isolate Annette and stop the rally from ever being a problem.
It
From
will
here,
be
we're
done.
just going to flip
The
her
glimmer
over
of
and let
life.
her start working her way to the second Aether pot.
Right, boss.
while we smite Morgan forward,
Okay.
let him break this panic matter for us, so we don't have to worry about getting his defenses panicked.
Maybe this way.
And we'll dance him forward,
Could be worse.
have Robin move in to protect him,
Hmm.
and let him take out Eliwood before the fight begins. With Eliwood off the table, they don't really have a way to make this fight move beyond Morgan. And, well, with Attack Tactic panicked on their entire team, nothing's really going to break through Morgan's defenses here. They might get a little bit of damage done with this move, though.
It's meant to be.
Mostly since Kagero got to— oh, never mind.
Checkmate.
I thought that the dagger penalty might let her do some damage with that, but not quite. And, well, while Annette's attack is very impressive, adaptive damage doesn't do much to Robin, who has
Surprise, your dinner.
some very nicely mixed defenses, and, well, again, the panicked attack tactic is not doing them any favors. From here, we just want to pick up this Aether pot before we close things out, and sadly we're not going to be able to reach it this turn and also knock both the Zuras out,
Okay.
so we're just going to take down one of them for this turn.
Good morning.
And then dance Morgan
What's the plan?
to start opening up the path to the pot.
Present my prey.
Got him.
We'll smite Noah over
Yes.
and have
I
Air start
bestow my
working her way up
blessing.
there. Without a weapon on Azura's, on either of the Azuras, it's not like anything's
Death's
really
caress.
going to stop us from reaching this before we close things out,
Okay.
and it makes for a nice easy finish. This match was a bit of an awkward one. They had a very cool team set up with an attack speed Unity Fjorm. It's something I've thought about giving to my own, since I do think that she scales better with attack and speed than any other stats. And combined with the bonus weak Robin and a harmonic Catria, this team has a lot of threat that they can push out even without a dancer on their team at all. Especially with the legendary Crom for extra movement nonsense and a dual leaf on the side as well. I honestly had a few ways I could have approached this, and had a fun idea that would have let Morgan tank a triangle attack enabled Crom. Unfortunately, what I also thought when I was planning this out was that the safety fence would keep the map inactive after this first turn, even though Robin stayed in the threat range for it. Sadly, that's not quite how it works, and the map starts moving here, which catches me off guard and lets Crom sneak in and snipe Peony. This match is going to be a very fun highlight. They've got a very spooky defense team, honestly, starring this maxed out Brave Eirika as the headline of their team. She's a real menace, honestly. She's extremely hard to tank, and they have a pretty neat rally trap, or rally and dance trap, set up with Sigurd and the 7th unit Note, and Triandra as a backup dancer just in case. They've also got a harmonic Catria setting them up with triangle attacks, and a near save Edelgard to help shut down any Gale Force nonsense, along with a bonus weak Hell. It's a scary team to approach, especially if you're trying to tank it, and do it without either sniping Eirika, or without killing everything in one turn, since it's actually pretty hard to just isolate one target and make sure that not everything dies in one turn if you can actually tank your way through this, which can make it very hard to reach these pots in the corner. I think I've figured out how to do this, though, and it's going to take a few turns to set up. Since we need to make sure that both Sigurd never moves over to Dense Note, and that Triandra ends up staying in place instead of moving forward. To do this, we're going to count on our safety fence for the first turn, and just have Air start testing traps while breaking his tactic room. Okay, that's one
Good
trap.
morning.
We can dance her thanks to Pathfinder here, and then flip Peony out of the way. That's the other trap. Excellent.
What's
From
the
there,
plan?
we're just going to let Morgan flip Air down,
Present my prey.
and have Robin break this throne.
Like
Then Noah
this.
moves back, and
Right,
Note
boss?
moves over. And the safety fence shuts out the first turn, and we don't have to worry about it. Isolating Sigurd from here on is actually very important, since that means that Triandra is the only one who can dance Note. From here, since we did actually find the real bolt trap, it simplifies things a little bit. We can just have Morgan move up here to break this panic banner, and
Sweet
have Robin
release.
move up to break the flag.
Got him.
Dogger's going to move over. We'll just dance Morgan downwards.
Okay.
And then we're going to spend a couple of turns stalling while Air makes sure that Triandra is never going to dance from here. She will dance, but she's only going to stay in place to do it, which is important. From here,
Ready.
the only thing we really need to do is make sure that we move Peony out of the way before next turn. And waiting for turn 4 lets us get Dogger's
you
wave
say
skills
so.
online, which are going to be important for Robin. Not so much for Morgan, but still useful. And then we'll just say go. Yep. Triandra dances in place again, and we're going to force her to do that one more time.
It will be
Here,
done.
we're going to flip Morgan forward, and we're actually going to attack Sigurd and make sure that he survives. This is a very important attack, since it applies Panic to Eirika, and makes sure that she's not going to do anything too harmful to Robin on this next turn. While Panicking Note is nice, she's not going to keep it since she is the 7th unit, and we're not actually
Maybe
going to
this
be
way.
keeping her panicked as a result, since we're not knocking anything out this turn. Instead, we're just smiting Morgan.
Could be worse.
Robin forward, and
What's the
then
plan?
Morgan's going to step forward and break this flag, and we're not going to break this one. What this should do is force Sigurd to attack
Sweet
Robin,
release.
since the triangle attack means he's never going to attack Peony, since he just isn't going to knock her out, and he would also get knocked out by her. And Robin
Present
can't
my
counterattack
prey.
him, so this should be the only spot he ever moves to. Let's see if we figured this out correctly. The first thing that should happen is that Triandra dances, followed by Sigurd attacking. Nope. Even with a moonbow, he shouldn't be able to do any damage to Robin here.
Let us dance together.
And from here, I'm not actually sure who's going to attack first. Oh, Note it is. She has the least amount of health to lose, and Robin should actually end
I will rend you asunder.
every one of these fights at full health, even the one with Eirika. Belle moves in next, and, well, as usual, really can't accomplish much.
Surprise, your dinner.
An impact would actually do a lot of work for Hel in her bonus week, I think,
Struggle if you must.
since it makes it a lot harder to just enemy phase her like this. Huh. Looks like Eirika's not even gonna get a chance to triangle attack.
Surprise, your dinner.
Patria moves in first, and, well, now they only have 2 units in range who can enable it, and Eirika only gets to swing once,
I will rend you asunder.
before Robin one-shots her, even through the damage reduction and defense tile. And Edelgard isn't going to do any better.
Struggle if you must.
That turn went really well, and now that all of their real threats are off the table, we just need to make sure we lock one of these two dancers into a corner while we pick up the pots before we close out the match. Sigurd's in a much better spot for it,
I
so
bestow my
he's the one we're going
blessing.
to use.
Death's
We're just going to
caress.
move air forward,
Okay.
let Morgan take Triandra off the table,
Checkmate.
and then
Got
we
him.
can smite Peony forward
Good morning.
and dance him to stand in front of Sigurd
Could be
and stop
worse.
him from doing anything to the rest of our team. And then from
glimmer
there
of
it's
life.
very easy for her to pick up one pot,
Ready.
Peony to pick up the second,
What's the plan?
and then let Morgan close out the match. That was a really fun match to plan out. Let's see what we get next. This match is an interesting one. It features a lot of really highly invested units, including this almost maxed out bonus week legendary Eirika, along with a plus 10/15 for save Hector, and a plus 10 Brave Lyn with Green Duel Cavalry 4, and a plus 10 Sothis on top of that, along with a plus 4 Dedue, and a plus 7 Note, and a bonus week Hell in the corner. The odd part about this, though, is that while there is a lot of investment here, it doesn't seem really coordinated as, or refined as defenses go. They don't really need to put too much effort into it, since I think their max lift lost for the week here is 22 per match. So even if they take full losses every single day, they still don't end up losing too much by the end of the week. It's still odd, though. A lot of the time when you see units this invested, there's a pretty spooky defense attached to it. But I don't think this is going to really cause us any problems. We should be able to clean things up starting on the first turn and just march on through from there. I'm going to
I
start
bestow
by
my
having Mila
blessing.
open this up, while Morgan can march on forward. And we'll just
Maybe
dance him
this
with
way.
Peony,
Right, boss.
smite Robin over this way,
Death's caress.
have Air flip him even further forward, or sideways,
Could be worse.
and that lets him swap Mila,
What's the
while
plan?
Morgan moves up here and just tests a trap. I don't think anything except, oh, Sothis will reach us and Eirika will reach us. Lyn just decides to rally instead of actually doing anything. But Robin's not going to have any problems with either Sothis or Eirika here.
Surprise, your dinner.
And all it really does is let us start cleaning things up. Oh, we are going to get to do too. Pathfinder does a lot, actually.
Surprise, your dinner.
Dedue is actually, I think,
Struggle if you
going
must.
to take both hits to knock out. But bulky as he is, he's still not surviving that. From here, we just want to keep cleaning things up while we work our way towards these pots, and I don't
Got
think
'em.
that's going to be too hard to do. Dogger can open this up, which gives
The
Era
glimmer of
very
life.
nice space to reach that in another turn or two. Well, we'll just
Good
move Morgan
morning.
back, get Peony to
What's the
apply
plan?
some buffs, and move back into position,
It will be done.
and then we'll move on from there. I don't think Lyn's going to rally again. She should be able to do some damage to Morgan now that she's not being debuffed. But thanks to Note's Menace, he's not really going to survive this turn. And then Note herself moves in and gets herself wiped out by Robin.
Surprise, your dinner.
From here, we're
Present
just
my
going
prey.
to have Robin move down a step in case this bolt trap is real. It's not. That makes things easier.
Ready.
Then we'll just dance Morgan, which gives Mila an
Like
aerobatics
this.
buff to flip Robin forward.
If you say
Dogger's
so.
just going to open this up so that
Yes.
either she or Air can reach that pot next turn. And we'll just let Hell come in and attack into Robin. Which, as usual, isn't ending well for her.
Surprise, your dinner. I will rend you asunder.
And
Got
then from
'em.
there, it's just a matter of picking up the last Aether pot,
Okay.
and then moving Robin and Morgan into position
Sweet release.
to tank Hector and
this
close out the
way.
match. Nice and clean.
I will rend you asunder.
Let's see what we get next. This match is going to be a bit of a lighter rematch near the end of the week. They've got a triple mythic boosted squad with a Note, Triandra, and Hell in her bonus week, supporting a Ninja Lin on defense, and a legendary in season Chrom. Chrom is always a bit of an annoyance for Morgan since his ability to cancel penalties really hurts the Grimace Truth effect. Seeing this fall on Morgan in the corner is kind of fun too, since we are using a Morgan and Robin theme team here. But I don't think we're going to really have any issues with this. It should be pretty straightforward and should be able to close out the match pretty quickly. We're going to take this first turn just to take a moment to set up and
Present
get
my
our
prey.
wave skills online. And
Like
then move
this.
Mila into position to isolate both of their dancers at
Yes.
once. It's
Ready.
putting both dancers into the same column like this is really dangerous, since it's just
The
asking for
glimmer
them
of
to get
life.
isolated. We'll have Air move up here to start working her way towards this Aether pot. Nothing happens turn 1. We
If
can
you
just
say so.
smite Morgan up here,
Okay.
and I'll just have Morgan plant his feet here. He could take out Lyn, but I'd rather not, since this forces her to attack him before anything else happens,
Sweet release.
and he should take
Maybe
some damage
this
from
way.
the Moonbow
Could
at
be
least,
worse.
and probably from her normal attacks as well.
Yes.
Then we'll just have her continue working her way over here,
It will be
and
done.
let Mila move over this way to start helping. Lyn's going to attack first, since, well,
Sit.
she's the only one who can actually do damage,
You're
or attack
finished.
at all. And then she gets one-shotted on the counter. This does leave us with a dagger debuff for the rest of the turn, but it's not going to matter too much. Although Triandra attacking before Chrom
You
here
won't
was
win like that.
not quite what I'd planned. It shouldn't be too big of a deal. It does mean Chrom gets his weapon back online, and can do a solid chunk of damage as a result. But we still get to knock him out, which lets Reinhardt move in and start healing us all the way back to full health.
Checkmate.
Nothing else can reach us this turn, so it's pretty smooth sailing from here. At this point, we just want to pick up both of these pots before we close things out, and we're going to start by letting Morgan attack into hell and take her off the map.
Accept your death.
Since we're using our tome, we don't have to worry about bringing her down to 1 hit point before knocking her out. This panics their Morgan for the next turn,
Good morning.
and since we also already found the real gravity trap, we can have Morgan move down here and break their bolt tower,
I
and
bestow
we'll
my
let Nella
blessing.
move over here and start breaking our way further towards these pots,
Got him.
and then we'll say go. No follow-up turns off a lot of the threat that Fallen Morgan brings to the table, and, well, Panic cancelling out his buffs from Menace means that our Morgan doesn't have any issues with this. Especially since we actually got Air to soak the Menace for him. This tactic rune is actually going to end up being a major nuisance for us, but we should still be able to reach the first pot this turn without any major problems.
What's the plan?
Or next turn, rather.
Like
Somehow
this.
forgot I wasn't going to be giving Nilla that
Right, boss.
aerobatics buff this turn,
Present my prey.
but that's okay. All we have to do is continue kiting Dogger around, or no, around, while we get these pots and then close things out. From here we're actually going to take a bit of a convoluted approach to reaching this Aether pot in the top left, since we need to somehow distract Note from suiciding into either Robin or Dogger,
The glimmer of life.
and I should be able to do that
What's the
by
plan?
just letting Morgan tank her for a turn.
I bestow my blessing.
He'll take a solid chunk of damage from her, but she's never going to double him, and he has enough bulk to take 1 hit from her.
Right, boss.
So we'll just move Dogger here,
Present my prey.
and move Robin behind her, and say go. Yep. Swings for almost half his health, but she's just not fast enough to double.
Death's
Then from here
caress.
it's easy enough to just let Air pick up the pot, and move Morgan over 1 step and close out the match.
Checkmate.
That was a fun one. Bit more convoluted than I'd have liked to reach the pots, but that's okay. This match is going to be a really tricky one to navigate near the end of the week. It's a rematch, and I was kind of hoping to see this Lara Shaw show up on their defense, since she was very impressive to see on their offense team. They've also got a maxed out summer loot. This silver goblet, I think, can catch a lot of people off guard who are expecting her to use a more offense-oriented weapon, and might not be counting in the third distant guard on their team. And this maxed out normal loot is very impressive. They also have a +10 Racing as one of their 2 dancers, along with a Dio Sigurd, a Note in front for their 7th slot, and a nearly maxed out Sothis too. It's a very spooky team. There's a lot of tricky parts to this to navigate, and these tactics are carefully placed to make sure that the rallies cannot land on targets they don't want them to land on, like this loot. I think one of the most annoying parts about this is actually this bolt trap, since it's hard for me to actually test this on the first turn. I don't think I can do it and actually get out of the threat range on the first turn. And the combination of these rallies and the roofs and both dances really makes it hard to actually plan ahead and crack this team open. I think I have figured out the right way to approach this, but it's going to be tricky, and I might end up having to navigate out of some very tricky
Could be worse.
situations. I'm going to take this first turn to just avoid their turn 1 thanks to the safety fence,
I bestow my blessing.
and start setting things up for the following turns. It's going to take us a
It
few
will be
turns
done.
to actually set this up,
Right, boss.
Mostly
Okay.
because, again, I need to test this bolt trap, and I can't do that on turn 1 without activating the map. So here, I'm making sure that we're isolating Sigurd, and while that doesn't stop Lute from getting danced, thanks to Pathfinder from Note, Racing isn't actually going to activate the map since he doesn't increase the threat range of anything.
Like
Which means we
this.
can flip Air,
Got him.
smite her forward. Oh, and it's a fake trap anyway,
Death's
of course.
caress.
But then we can just move her back down, dance Milla,
I bestow
let
my
Milla
blessing.
flip Air
Present
back out
my
of the
prey.
way, and then let Robin move down here. And from here, Racing moves forward to dance Lute, but nothing else happens. And now that we don't have to worry about Sigurd ever moving without us wanting him to,
Yes.
that means we can get Milla to isolate a different lane
Maybe this way.
while we get ready to start
If
this
you
fight on
say
the
so.
next turn with a full spectrum of buffs from Morgan.
It will be done.
And we're going to make sure we isolate this lane with Racing and
The
Sothis,
glimmer of life.
just to make sure that we have as few assists to worry about as possible. Now that we've gotten everything positioned correctly, I'm going to hope that I've planned this out
Boss.
properly. We're going to start by smiting Morgan forwards, and then
Ready.
dancing Dogger, which gives Robin an
Sweet release.
aerobatics buff to jump forward and assist
What's the
Morgan,
plan?
who's going to step forward and take down Note. He is going to take a bit of damage from this counterattack, but it's nothing too lethal, and more importantly, it gets his soul fully charged before this next turn, and also panics their entire team. While it does mean that La Rochelle should end up rallying Sigurd from here and rusing Morgan, the only part that should actually worry us is the guard effect, since we're already taking a res penalty from this menace. And this one soul that Morgan already has charged
Got him.
should be enough
Death's
for him
caress.
to survive the
I
turn.
bestow my blessing.
We're just going to flip Air all the way over here to try and help us secure these pots after this turn. Yep, there's the rally, and the dance. Beating Sigurd is doable, since he can do quite a bit of damage with that attack res bond 4, cancelling out all his penalties. But from here, we actually force Racing to attack next, since none of the rest of their team can attack. And, well, Robin doesn't actually need a bonfire to knock Racing out. Lute moves in next, and that's okay. She can do a chunk of damage here. But Morgan still has his weapon active, and he shouldn't get attacked again this turn. Yep. There we go. While that first turn did go well, we do still have a bit of an awkward situation here with this Sigurd, who has a pre-charged iceberg now, and Morgan can't actually handle that. But, thankfully, he's not the only fighter we're using this week, and Morgan can flip Robin up here,
Could be worse.
who can then turn around and one-shot Lute.
Your candy. Now.
And with Lute out of the way, we can
I bestow
have
my
Milla
blessing.
flip Morgan,
Yes.
and Air flip him all the way out of harm's way.
Good morning.
And then we're going to dance Robin,
If you say so.
smite Dogger forward, or smite Milla forward with Dogger, to make sure she stays in Robin's save range,
Sweet release.
and then let Robin move forward and take out Sigurd. From here, I think La Rochelle's actually just going to rally instead of... Oh, never mind, Sothis rallied. And that's okay. La Rochelle can get a bit of damage done to Milla, but even with all of the debuffs hitting her, Milla's still got enough bulk to survive this. Mostly thanks to the panic effect on La Rochelle. The enemy phase didn't quite go the way I liked. I would have rather had Sothis knocked out right here, but we can still make this work. I'm going to flip
I
Morgan
bestow
all the
my
way up here,
blessing.
which tests its trap for us. Then we're just going to let Robin wait in place and have Peony dancing,
Could
moving
be
forward
worse.
one space to help box in La Rochelle,
Okay.
and then let Morgan move in and take down Sothis. This is going to get him pretty low, since he's going to tank Sirius from Sothis after this attack.
Revenge, it lives.
But he's still in range of his weapon's effect, and a Grand Blade La Rochelle who has no buffs to work with isn't really going to be too threatening for us.
Right, boss?
She should just attack Morgan, or Robin, here instead, which doesn't really do anything. And while we did end up running down the clock a bit, from here it's easy enough for us to pick up both of these Aether pots
It will be done.
before letting Morgan get some much-deserved revenge and close out the match.
You won't win like that.
Well, it's a satisfying match to clear. Very tricky to navigate. This week was really fun. I was looking forward to seeing Robin and Morgan work together, and turns out they do a very good job as a range tank and melee tank combo. Sweeping the week is just, it's always nice to see a team manage that. I am probably going to be bringing them over into Aether season next week, since Robin's going to be my ideal bonus unit for the teams, and we'll see how he does over there. I do have a Discord channel, there's a link in the description if you'd like to hang out and chat, and I've also got a Patreon page in there if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.